Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was going to say, I am getting up in their names, I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people, life was never this good. I had to step back, knowing that it's...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about interest rates, where they're at right now as of the making of this video, and what you should be doing. So first and foremost, interest rates are going down, but very, very slowly. What I expect to see is a slow and steady decline in interest rates over the next couple of months. I do expect interest rates to drop at least a quarter point before the end of the year. The Fed, Jerome Powell, stated that he wanted to do 2 rate drops, but with the tariffs and everything, that has been paused at least for the last quarter, and we'll see what happens this quarter coming. Unless something significant happens in the job market, I expect them to maybe wait again as well. Now, for those who don't know, the housing market typically booms around the summertime, and so not dropping interest rates during this pivotal season is going to affect the housing market in many ways. Many people are going to maybe stay off of the sidelines that would have jumped in, and so you're going to see less demand for housing in the market and more properties start to come on market. And so what's going to happen is that the cost of properties, although you may think it will go down because there will be less demand, I expect it to remain steady. So what does that mean? I expect that the housing market will not go up too much or too drastically. The average increase in the housing market is about 4%. I believe JP Morgan Chase or Goldman Sachs estimated that the housing market would go up about 2% worldwide. And so that's a little bit less than the average. So with that being said, we're going to jump into rates and where they're at right now and what you should be doing. So if you ever listen to Dave Ramsey, he's the type of guy that tells you to put 20% down. So what does that mean? That means once you have a wife or a spouse, you're putting your money together in order to afford 20% down payment. And I believe that the mortgage should only be 25% of your take-home pay as a joint household. And with that being said, he also wants you to do a 15-year mortgage. Now, the benefits of a 15-year mortgage is, one, you pay off the home 15 years early instead of trying a 30-year mortgage and trying to pay it off 15 years early. You actually have a set payment to where you're trying to pay that off 15 years early. And most people who put 20% down on a 15-year plan are typically going to pay their house off in less than 8 years, right? But if you're on a 30-year mortgage, the likelihood of doing that is dropped significantly because the average person sells their home every 5 to 7 years or refinances every 5 to 7 years. So what's the likelihood of you not being average, right? What's the likelihood of you actually starting to recoup some of that investment, you actually starting to make money from investing in property or living in the home? Because the banks are going to make the majority of their money up front. You start making your money on the back end. So if you refinance or sell every 5 to 7 years, you're really going to be giving way more money to the bank than what you're receiving in equity every single month in that mortgage payment. And so what I try and encourage people to do on this channel is to start putting down more and more principal regardless of the interest rate, because what that's going to allow is I like to know that I'm making more money when I make that mortgage payment than the bank is. If the bank is making more than me, then I have not invested enough, I have not saved enough, I have not put in enough equity into this property so that I can then start to yield some of those fruits monthly in returns, right? I don't want to be paying the bank more than what I'm getting. And so another thing is interest rates do affect how much the bank is going to earn off of you over the life of a loan. So if you have a 4.5% interest rate for a 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay double what the house is worth. For example, if you have a $300,000 home at a 4.5% interest rate, over a 30-year period, if you pay nothing extra, you're going to pay $600,000 for that $300,000 home at the time. Now, granted, that home will increase, on average, will increase in value by 4% every single year. So it's not like you're just paying an extra $300,000 and you're not gaining anything from it. But at the same time, what's the likelihood of you staying the full 30 years? Again, you're going to refinance, you're going to sell, you're going to move out within 5 to 7 years, most likely. And the thing that I like to say the most is that people typically move out for a neighborhood or community, children that's growing up, better school districts. They want to downsize at some point. All of these reasons are why people continue to move. And if you do that 4 times every 5 to 7 years, then boom, your life is basically finished at that point, right? We spent 20 years, 25 years moving around, and you never actually physically owned a home. Yes, you had your name on the deed, but it was never fully, truly yours. Yes, it was on the county website, but it was never fully, truly yours. So let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates were super high at one point, even touching 8%. But for those with good credit, now you can actually get an interest rate that is under 6%. Right now, I'm seeing the top mortgage offers at for 30 years at 5.9%. And I'm sure with points and buy downs, you can probably get to 5.7, even 5.6%. Now, with a 15-year mortgage, of course, you're going to pay more monthly because it's less time in order to get the full house paid off. But you also have a cheaper interest rate, so you're going to pay the bank less over time. The best 15-year mortgage rates right now is running around 5.28%. So if you actually have a lot of cash down because you just sold your house after that 5 to 7 years, then you can actually put points into this as well, and you might be able to get an interest rate under 5% on a 15-year mortgage. And if you're following Dave Ramsey's strategy, you're putting 20% down. Now, on a 10-year mortgage, this one actually has a higher interest rate than the 15-year, which is funny. And it's at 5.34% for the best rates right now. Now, of course, this you can also probably get to about 5 or 4.9% with points. And that 10-year mortgage, obviously, you're going to pay less interest over time. And that's probably why it's a little bit more expensive. So I love the fact that there are rates right now that are under 6%. We're getting into that ballpark where people are going to start getting excited once they see the 30-year mortgage around 5.5% or 5.3%. Because once it gets to 5.3, the banks will start maneuvering things around. They'll start making things happen to where you're able to put points down and get a loan under 5%. And so it just depends on how you make things happen. Now, again, anything over 4.5%, you're going to be paying double what the house is worth over a 30-year period of time if you don't pay any extra. And so I want you to keep that in mind. But now, let's talk about Helocs. People are staying in their homes. Not a lot of people are worried about selling or worried about buying right now. And so they don't care about these mortgage rates and where they're at currently. But what they might want to do is they might want to take money out of their home. Maybe they need to repair something. Maybe times are tough because, again, the job market is sinking and they're going to need some extra income, right? And so in order to make that happen, where's your biggest money tool is probably your income, as Dave Ramsey would say. But then for most investors or most real estate guys, they're going to say it's their homes. Right? And so they're properties that they can liquidate and pull money out of. And so without refinancing your primary residence, you're able to do something called a Heloc, where you're able to take money out of the home almost like a credit card and use it as you will. Just having that line of credit and having access to that is something that most people, would dream of. And so right now, HELOCs have also dropped in their rates, and they're now under 8% for those with good credit and good standing. Right now, you can get a HELOC at 7.9%. What does that mean? That means if a car has an APR right now of 11% and an interest rate of 8%, you can pull money out of the home at 7.9, which will save you 0.10%, and you're able to purchase that car and pay a little bit less. Another thing is, you know, instead of getting any high loans, or a lot of the times people are using HELOCs for emergencies. People are using HELOCs for buying other properties, right? And so if you're going to put that type of money down, you also want to make that money back. So for example, if I'm going to put almost 8% interest on myself by utilizing this HELOC, I want to make sure that that percentage that I put in, I'm able to pay that back and actually receive some money in return. So if I'm going to buy a property, that property needs to be profitable enough to not only sustain itself and its mortgage, but then to pay off the HELOC as well, right? And so when interest rates were super low at 3%, 2%, people were absolutely utilizing those HELOCs and trying to get as many properties as they can because it just made sense, right? When interest rates are that low, it's time to use debt. Sometimes debt can be king when it's that cheap. And now cash is king because interest rates are higher. It's not historically high, but it's higher than what some people may be accustomed to at this point. And so I just want to say HELOCs are ranging from 7.9% all the way up to 10.8% right now. And I do expect it to continue to drop to where we're not even going to have the high HELOCs at 10% at some point in time. So if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. What would you do with a HELOC right now? What would you do if you had access to, I don't know, maybe $35,000, $50,000 at 8% interest rate? What would you kind of think of and strategize in order to utilize that money effectively? Or would you just keep it in there and not utilize it because you don't know what to do right now? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.